Look at that view. The sky can't seem to determine if it wants to be cloudy or if it wants to be somewhat clear. You see a little blue, you see some white. You know what? Don't let the weather get you down, because you know what day it is. It is officially camera is messed up. What's going on? Oh my god, technical difficulties. Give me 1 second. Oh my god, shut up, stupids. All right, what's going on here? Enjoy some music in the meantime. Okay. Here I am. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Oh, yeah. It's going to be one of those mornings. Let's go. Good morning, y'all. Camera's now working. You could see me. I can't see you, but I'm sure you all are looking fantastic and you're all looking great. Thank you so much for tuning in. We've made it. It's the end of the week. It's Friday. The weekend is here. The weekend is among us. What are you all doing this weekend? Let me know in the comments, whether you're watching live or if you happen to be watching on the replay. Let me know what y'all doing this weekend. For many of you, the weekend, everyone's looking forward for Sunday. Sunday's the big game. Super Bowl coming at you. Now, I'm one of those guys that I don't follow football like I used to when I was younger. When I was younger, I used to follow all the sports. I was a big Giants guy. Well, in case you didn't know already, I am from New York, grew up in New York. So my teams growing up were always the Giants, the Mets, and the Knicks. Two still holds true, but I mean, I root for the Giants, but I don't really follow them anymore. I root for the Mets and I go to Mets games, but if you told me who's playing second base right now, I couldn't tell you. Knicks is the only, basketball and the Knicks, those are the only guys I follow like constantly and regularly. But for football, I don't watch anything usually during the season, but I do get excited every time the Superb Owl comes around. I like the fanfare. I like the excitement. I like the fact knowing that there are tons of people watching this damn game right now. It's America's favorite pastime. America's favorite pastime in February, at least. It's also the best time to buy a TV. If you didn't know that, I'm telling you, and for those of you who do know, it's a nice reminder. If you're in the market for a brand new television, now they're usually cheap, but if you want to get the cheapest of the cheapest prices on TVs, do it around the Super Bowl period, because they know there are going to be tons of people who are going to want to buy a brand new TV to watch the game, host a party, do all that stuff. And for some reason, the retail market, the retail industry has honed in on that and made it the low-key best time to buy televisions. Check it out. Check out your local Best Buys. Check out the online. You'll see. TVs are probably at the lowest prices you'll see throughout the year. Outside of like Black Friday and, Christmas and all that stuff. All right. What are we talking about today? Oh, there's some stuff we can talk about. There's some stuff that popped in through the news. I saw a new movie last night. Lisa Frankenstein. Frankenstein? Who remembers that movie, Young Frankenstein? That's Mel Brooks. It's Frankenstein. That's such a funny movie. It's so good. And if you know the story, or at least the original movie, the Frankenstein movie, the black and white, you'll see all the parodies from it too. It's so well done. It's so brilliant. By the way, I have to joke really quick. And I'm sorry if I'm putting my friend on blast, but I am not going to name him. I made a joke to my friends yesterday about this Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I made a funny comment, and I actually called it Final Fantasy VII Afterbirth. Now, one of my friends, how should I say it? He's full on dad mode. Has been for a while. So he has dad brain. He was one of the geekiest guys I knew for a while before he had kids. Or before he had more kids, I should say. But he replied to this group chat and said, Afterbirth? What a dumb title. And he proceeded to copy and paste the pure definition of what afterbirth means. But I'm happy that he caught the fact that he was kind of missing the point and that it was all a joke. And he replies afterwards saying, sorry, I was dumb. Didn't catch the joke. So that is just hilarious. I'm gonna actually I'm gonna actually laugh at that right now. Oh my gosh. My poor friend. And like I said, I'm not gonna call him out. At least not just yet. I'll wait for him to do something else stupid, then I'll do it. So yeah, so the agenda for the morning, after the crazy technical difficulties there, it ruined my opening. I love doing those openings because it gets me pumped. It actually wakes me up. So I feel a little disappointed by all that. But anyways, so like I said, okay, now I'm hearing some random thing happening. My Steam Deck is just being really stupid. My Stream Deck, sorry, not Steam Deck. Steam Deck is another thing. But yeah, saw a new movie, Lisa Frankenstein, last night. So I'm going to be giving my review and thoughts on that movie today. Some news items I definitely want to touch base on. Something I briefly mentioned to my friends during the week when the news dropped. This whole Funimation, Crunchyroll situation. I wanted to kind of recap that for today, give my thoughts on the whole thing, especially as someone who is a firm believer, and I mentioned this multiple times before, a firm believer and supporter for physical media. I feel like this is another situation that is reminding us why physical media is still very much important today. A lot of nerd news this morning, y'all. So this is going to be a nerd-heavy stream. Got some Fantastic Four buzz. We got Gremlins 3 buzz. What? Is it true? And of course, since it's Friday, I'll be talking about video games, video game related news and all that. Capcom did something this week that I thought was strange, and I want to talk about that. But obviously, because of all the rumors and speculations from last weekend, Phil Spencer said this past week that him and the rest of the crew will be giving a special business update announcement next week. And I figured it'll be a fun time for us to kind of speculate. Excuse me. The fuck was that?
Wow.
And discuss and just kind of guess what could these announcements be? What could he be wanting to talk about that we may not already be expecting and all that. So yeah, so it's going to be a fun morning. For those of you watching on the replay, I saw one person comment, not recently, but this was like a couple of weeks ago. It was the stream where I reacted to the Pauly Shore Richard Simmons short that came out of Sundance and was posted on YouTube. And that stream got a lot of hits after the fact because I think a lot of people were going there to catch my reaction to the short. And one person commented saying, there's about 6 minutes of opening with nothing but music and message saying starting soon. Okay, but there are chapters. I think a lot of people don't realize that YouTube supports chapters and you can skip to whatever you want to look at. As a creator, we also put chapters in there because those are actually searchable on Google and all that. So I love how this person, you could obviously tell they're not familiar with how YouTube works. They probably did a search online because they caught wind of what was going on. But I love people who just comment like that. There's about 6 minutes in the beginning of this video where it's nothing but music and starting soon screen.
Fuck off!
That's all I gotta say about that. All right. What should we start off with here? Hey, I got an idea. Let's talk about Game of Thrones. There's this interesting news that dropped yesterday about Game of Thrones. More because of the House of the Dragon and a possible prequel that we could be getting, which is a spin-off to the current show. So I'm a big House of the Dragon fan. I thought that show was really well done. I'm also overall a big Game of Thrones fan, but I've never read the book, so I'm a fan of this show. I don't have ties to the original books. I don't read because I just don't have time. Plus, it makes me sleepy at night. For whatever reason, when I try to read at night, it puts me to bed. It puts me to sleep. But article from The Hollywood Reporter, Game of Thrones, Aegon's Conquest spinoff in the works from the Batman Part 2 writer. So the writer is Mattson Tomlin. HBO is developing another Game of Thrones spin-off series. The company is actively heating up its long in discussion Aegon's Conquest idea. HBO is partnering with Mattson Tomlin, an in-demand scribe who did uncredited work on Matt Reeves' The Batman and is co-writing its upcoming sequel, The Batman Part 2. He also wrote the Keanu Reeves action comic adaptation Berserker and an animated Terminator series, which he is also showrunning for Netflix. I didn't know they were doing an animated Terminator series. That's actually pretty dope. Aegon's Conquest is basically a direct prequel to the hit House of the Dragon, telling the story of Targaryen's bloody and brutal conquest of Westeros. The story follows the invader Aegon Targaryen, who conquered the continent of Westeros with his sister wives, Rhaenys and Visenya, and their dragons. Aegon successfully unified 6 of the 7 kingdoms in just 2 years, with only Dorne able to successfully resist. Article continues to say, one source described the project as taking a back-to-basics approach to George R.R. Martin's epic fantasy universe. Variety previously reported Aegon's Conquest as an idea in discussion early last year. So that's exciting. That's a lot of stuff exciting. The article also says here that the efforts have spawned 2 greenlit shows. The efforts meaning House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, then House of the Dragon, right? House of the Dragon, which launches its 2nd season this summer, and A Knight of the 7 Kingdoms, The Hedge Knight, which starts production this year and is based on Martin's Dunk and Egg novellas. So I think that's actually pretty exciting. It's amazing how much traction something can make, how much traction something can, blah, 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 blah. All right, I need more caffeine. Let's go. I should have like some beverage drinking music. How about this?
You blew it! Wow. 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 Wow.
All right. What I was trying to say, it's amazing how much traction a project can get once something associated with it gets really popular. Game of Thrones, obviously, when that season ended, a lot of people were either happy, sad, or extremely mad and disappointed. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of the fact, I enjoyed it. Then it spawned House of the Dragon, which I think unanimously a lot of the Game of Thrones fans really enjoyed it and really liked it. So because of that popularity, you have now all of these avenues HBO can take in creating storylines. So it is really interesting to see that we're going to get a prequel here talking about Aegon and his reign and all that. AKB Mobile into hizzy. That beat, watch out, DJ Jazzy Jeff. I can't compete with that dude. That dude's legendary. I can only try.
Wow. 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 You blew it! Yeah! Fuck off!
All right. Sorry. I got zoned out for a minute there. So let me know in the comments if you are interested in this Aegon's Conquest spin-off idea. What were your thoughts of House of the Dragon? All of that stuff is very interesting and a lot of fun to talk about. All right. This bit of news really caught my eye. Because, again, I say this quite often here. If you know me, you know. I say that a lot, right? But I am a huge Fantastic Four fan. Have been for the very longest time. One of my favorite comic books growing up. I love the family dynamic. I've always enjoyed the original Hanna-Barbera cartoons. I remember growing up, those would pop up. I don't know if it was actually on Saturday or Sundays, but I remember it was, obviously there were repeats, but it was on this block. It was usually that with either the Herculoids or Birdman. No, not Bird, Space Ghost, I think it was. Regardless, I remember just watching the cartoon series and loving it. Then obviously we got more modern day retelling through cartoons. We got those really middling Fantastic Four movies with Jessica Alba and a very young Chris Evans playing Johnny Storm there. So it's funny how I swear I'm having a stroke. It's funny seeing how his career progressed after seeing him in a movie like Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four 2, The Rise of the Silver Surfer. But I've been dying for a long time to really get a serious, really good adaptation of comic books' favorite family. And we may be getting it, maybe, with it now under Disney, Marvel Studios. We already know a movie's coming out. And it's amazing to me how, to this day, there still hasn't been any official cast announcement yet. There's a lot of rumors going around. And I think a lot of people are under the impression that Pedro Pascal has been officially announced as Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, in the upcoming movie. But no official announcement has been made. That's still all speculation. However, it's the internet. It's the modern day social media. Things get ruined and spoiled very easily. So there are two instances where now we're getting more of a clear picture that Pedro is going to be in the Fantastic Four movie. So I'm going to read this article here off of Dark Horizons. Towards 2023's end came reports that The Last of Us and The Mandalorian star Pedro Pascal was in talks to portray Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, in filmmaker Matt Shakman's Fantastic Four film at Marvel Studios. Marvel has yet to officially comment on casting, but unlike many superhero casting stories generally spread online, this one seemed fairly legit. Earlier this week, apparent secondary confirmation of Pascal's casting was spotted in a listing on SAG-AFTRA website, a listing that was quickly changed after the fact to remove any mention of Fantastic Four. Now, fuel has been added to the fire today as comicbook.com reports that Shankman himself reportedly did a post on his Instagram stories sharing one of the news stories about that deleted Pascal SAG-AFTRA casting listing. Cut to a few hours later, and fans noticed late Thursday afternoon that Shankman's entire Instagram page appears to have been deleted. Make of that what you will. For now, no casting is officially set for the film, which is gearing up for production later this year ahead of summer 2025. So I pulled up the SAG-AFTRA listing here. Make it a little bigger so everyone can see. So here is Pedro Pascal career retrospective, right? And basically what these pages do on SAG is highlight what their accomplishments were, what their upcoming projects are, some notables, right? So you see here, Pedro Pascal can currently be seen starring opposite Ethan Hawke in Pedro Almodovar's short film A Strange Way of Life, starring in Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck's independent film Freaky Tales, set to premiere in 2024 Sundance Film Festival, which already passed. You see Pascal recently wrapped production on Ridley Scott's Gladiator 2, and starring opposite Bella Ramsey in The Last of Us, with season 2 renewal in late January. And then it highlights some of his Mandalorian stuff, some of his other movies that he's been in recently, all this stuff. So yeah, as I was going through all of this, I no longer see any kind of mention about Fantastic Four. But the fact that SAG-AFTRA leaked that, I mean, I think it's pretty much a done deal. As another friend of mine pens, catchphrase, AKB, you know who I'm talking about. But yeah, I think this is pretty much a done deal here that Pedro Pascal is going to be in the Fantastic Four movie, and I couldn't be more excited. Now, I would love to hear an official announcement for the cast, which I, for the longest time, have speculated was going to be the case once the strikes ended, because Marvel, they need a win. Marvel has been suffering for a little bit, but Marvel needs a win. And by making an announcement of who your cast is for the upcoming Fantastic Four movie, first of all, we'll end a lot of the rumor mill speculations going on online. It can please, or at least cause a little bit of discourse among fans to start the conversation going at a fever pitch. But it would be amazing if they could make a casting kind of announcement sometime soon. Now, in I believe April, we have CinemaCon coming up, so maybe something could be announced around that time. Disney already had their earnings call this past week. Bob Iger mentioned Fantastic Four was coming out in 2025, but nothing outside of that. No elaboration, no explanations about anything, nothing. By the way, if you wanted to know my reaction and recap of the entire earnings call from Disney, video was posted this morning. A lot of news and bombs dropped from that call. Some surprises, some exciting things, and this could be the year, possibly, that Disney could be finally making a comeback. We shall see. What would help that, I think personally, is if they made a casting announcement. So I think we're getting close to that point. We really, really are. So I can't wait. When that announcement is available, I will be all over it, of course, and you'll hear a lot about it here on the channel. All right, next here on the topic is, could we possibly see a Gremlins 3? That is something, Gremlins, that franchise has always been something very close to my heart. The famous story about me and Gremlins is that when I was a kid, when that movie came out in 1984, I believe that's when it came out, right? Gremlins. Yeah, 1984. I just want to make sure. As you get older, your memory kind of goes out the window. 1984 was a very memorable year for me because of Gremlins, and also because to this day, Gremlins holds the record for the most times I saw a movie in the movie theater. Gremlins I saw in the movie theater 8 times. That's right, 8 times I saw this movie in the theater because I just loved it. Gizmo driving around in that Barbie Corvette. Come on. How much fun was that? Especially for a movie that was kind of meant to be more of like a horror type of movie. It didn't scare me one bit. And it's funny how this movie didn't scare me, but E.T. did. Go figure. I was a weird kid. And then we had Gremlins 2 that came out, which at that time, I thought it was meh. I was a little disappointed. As an adult watching it now, there's a lot of messages in there. A lot of kind of commentary on consumerism at the time. It's very dark in many ways. So watching it as an adult now, I get it. And I actually appreciate it a lot more. AKB, yes, 8 times. That is my record for the most times I've seen a movie in the movie theater. Gremlins. And then I know Max recently released that Mogwai series, which I have yet to watch. I've been wanting and meaning to watch it, and I'm hoping that I can do so soon. There's, kind of conversations had about Gremlins all over again because Secrets of the Mogwai had good reaction. It had good reaction, but it's amazing how I didn't really see many people talk about it online. I don't know. Things are weird sometimes when it comes to those things. But here, back again on Dark Horizons, original Gremlin star Zach Galligan played Billy Peltzer. Billy. That was Spike. When he was hanging out at the fountain with the gun. Billy. In Joe Dante's iconic 1984 horror comedy, and the other day offered an update on a possible third outing. Warner Brothers Pictures released the sequel Gremlins to the new batch in 1990, but since then have had little success with continuing the franchise bar the recent animated prequel series Gremlins Secrets of the Mogwai. That show was ordered with 2 seasons to be produced and follows the story of how 10-year-old Sam Wing met Gizmo, a young Mogwai. The show launched May 2023 on Max to superb reviews, though no word as yet when the second season will air. Speaking with Screen Rant, Galligan says Warner's likely sees this show as a test bed for audience interest in a third film. Quote, I can't really figure out why Warner Brothers would do 2 seasons, not 1, but 2 seasons of the animated series and spend a lot of money on it, unless there was some kind of end game. And usually the end game for a huge studio like Warner Brothers Discovery is a live action film. A live action film is always where you're going to make the most money. Super Mario Brothers just proved that. Wait, what? Super Mario Brothers wasn't live action. I'm pretty sure he meant a feature film. So I think he misspoke there. The end game probably will be, I'm hoping, a third film. I don't think it'll be a reboot, though, because Chris Columbus has nixed that idea. He owns part of the rights. That I didn't know. I didn't know writer-director Chris Columbus owns part of the rights. That could be basically why maybe we haven't seen a lot of Gremlins-related stuff, because he has probably been very controlling on his end there. Back in 2017, Columbus revealed a script for a third film. had been finished, but sadly no further progress was made. The now 59-year-old Galligan remains one of the franchise's biggest cheerleaders, appearing in commercials and podcasts in recent years involving the critters. So, here's my take on this. And, given that I am a fan of the franchise, I don't know if a movie would work today. Gremlins was kind of one of those lightning in a bottle moments. It's the 80s. It's quirky. You had Steven Spielberg, who was producing it. And then you had Joe Dante, who just was meant to do something like this at the time. It definitely was a huge hit. It's really probably more of a cult hit today. You don't hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, Gremlins is one of my favorite movies." In my opinion, it's one of my favorite Christmas movies because it takes place during Christmas. But it was popular enough at that time to spawn that sequel that was mentioned. That one unfortunately bombed in my eyes. And I think if you ask a lot of people critically, it bombed too. Like I said, the animated show looks like really well done. I can't wait to actually sit down and watch it. Superb reviews, 2 seasons. Could this possibly be leading to something bigger down the line? And I've mentioned this multiple times before. If something is going to be popular, it's all going to be dependent on the audience. So if the audience is supporting the animated series, then it's possible that they would move forward and support the live action, whether it be a sequel or whatever the case is. But I feel like a storyline like this worked better back then. I don't know if it could work now. And it's funny that I'm reading an article like this because in a way it does kind of tie into Lisa Frankenstein, the movie I watched last night that I will review in a little bit. So maybe I'll save my thoughts more on that. There are just certain storylines, certain ways of filmmaking, certain periods that really work well and better in another time compared to today. And I think we're spoiled, or we were just exposed too much to so many different things that have been thrown in our faces. That's something that's more simple, more kind of quirky and innocent in ways, doesn't exactly work. It doesn't really capture the audience's attention like it used to. I would love to see another Gremlins movie, but I don't know if there are going to be a lot of people like myself who are. Unfortunate to say. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but let me know in the comments what you think about all that stuff. All right. This is big news. Something that I shared with my friends a couple days ago, and I definitely was hoping to talk about this today. One of the most famous YouTubers right now, Moist Critical, talked about this a day, I think yesterday. He made a video. Then, anything he does gets over 1 million views in a heartbeat. But Funimation is closing down in April 2nd. For those of you who may not be aware, Sony owns Funimation, but it was bought by Crunchyroll in 2021. There wasn't any word or plans immediately mentioned as to what was going to happen to the brand, Funimation, their website, and their digital service. A lot of people don't realize, or maybe you know, that Funimation has been operating an app and a digital service for some time now, where you can watch the Funimation stuff online, very much like a Netflix, very much like, any other streaming platform. They also had this thing where if you bought a DVD, a physical copy of something, there could be a code there that you could redeem for a digital version on their website so that you could watch it online and everything. So it was always kind of thought, because again, there wasn't any clear definition, that Crunchyroll may be operating the Funimation side of things separately or roll it under one umbrella. Well, it looks like we finally have the answer here. So I'm back again, good old Dark Horizons, because they keep things very easy to read and simple. But it talks about this. Nearly 3 years ago came the news of the consolidation of the major two anime streaming services, Crunchyroll and Funimation, following Sony Entertainment's acquisition of the latter. In the time since, both services have existed simultaneously, with Crunchyroll having absorbed Funimation's content into itself. Now Funimation has officially announced it is fully shutting down this spring. In a press release, Funimation has set April 2nd as the official date its service, app, and website will shut up shop once and for all. The unification of their content complete under the Crunchyroll banner. So this article is actually giving me a lot more clarification than what I originally read. I wasn't clear if Funimation's properties, if all their stuff was fully under Crunchyroll, but it looks like it's all rolled up under there, so that's good to know. They say in the press release, rest assured the transition will not impact your access to the vast library of anime available on Crunchyroll. We remain committed to delivering the best anime streaming experience and will continue to expand our offerings to cater to your diverse interests. Now, here's the kicker. One big change, though, is that according to Crunchyroll, it will not support Funimation digital copies. So access to previously available digital copies will not be supported. More details are available at Funimation.com, including a Q&A section explaining other questions any users of both services may have. So this continues a conversation that we've been seeing pop up time and time again. Do we own anything digitally anymore? How important is physical media? Well, I think we are proven, or it's been proven, that physical media is probably the only way you, as a consumer, fully owns anything. Whether it's movies, music, books, all of these platforms have, T's and C's, small print, and they have contracts with content providers, licenses, and the like. If for whatever reason a license or contract is expired, obviously that service can no longer maintain or carry said property, license, and the fourth, right? So what happens? They have to get rid of it, regardless if you have paid for it or not. Earlier, we saw that Sony had to kind of let go of a bunch of Discovery related content because their contract with them has expired. So if you purchase anything with the Discovery brand behind it, you're shit out of luck, because now you lost what you bought. And there was no talk or discussion about any kind of redemption period where maybe you could go somewhere else and redeem it, or any kind of refund. Nothing. And it's really unfortunate, and it's really sad that you can't really do anything about anything that you own or assume to have owned digitally, right? It leads to a lot of conversations, and it's definitely conversations that a lot of people should have. But we also know that we're moving more towards an all digital landscape. It was also announced last year, moving into this year, that many retail locations are starting to get rid of physical media, whether it's DVDs, Blu-rays, or games. Walmart is one of the biggest chains who said that they were probably not going to be carrying a lot of video games, physical media. Best Buy, another huge retail here in the United States, said that they were getting rid of Blu-rays and DVDs. And I think it's obvious that a lot of studios are now moving forward to kind of support that avenue less and less, right? AKB Mobile own the physical media, then back it up to data storage media you own. 30-second delay is weird. Also, that's the legal non-eye patchy answer. Which answer? The what I just read or something else? Let me know in the comments. I know there's a weird delay. I don't know why that is. I have it on low latency, so I'm not sure why that is. It's bizarre, but I've seen it with other streams too. It's annoying, so I apologize. So yeah. So what does one do as a consumer? Now, AKB Mobile brought up an idea, right? But I think a lot of consumers won't know how to do that, or maybe may not have the means to do that. Not a lot of, regular consumers, regular people who enjoy this form of entertainment will have the ability to have an in-home server or an in-home storage solution where they could stream off of and all. I agree, though. That's a great way to kind of keep it digital. And then there's services like Plex that allow you to kind of open it up a little bit so you can watch your library from anywhere you are, as long as you have the app and as long as you have the login information and everything. So there are ways to do all that stuff. Or you could just keep your fingers crossed and hope that eventually what you are interested in will land in another streaming platform, streaming service, so that you could finally go back and watch it again. But it also happens with video games. And I mentioned the other day about Game Pass. PlayStation Plus does this too, where they have limited windows where they could carry games, and then eventually they have to rotate them out. Plus, also, a lot of people don't realize that server costs are really high and expensive. So if they have things just lingering there that aren't doing anything, they have to do something to kind of change it up, because they're basically paying for space for these things to live on, and it's not making them any money. In a business point of view, in a business perspective, I can understand that. AKB Mobile clarifying. Sorry, the legal answer is own physical, then back up to one's own storage. But yes, it is technical and has a cost involved. This is legal, yes. No, I agree. Totally. Yeah. No, we're on the same page. It's unfortunate. It really sucks. But I also mentioned before, and I'll say it time and time again, we are a creature of convenience. We are creatures of convenience. Anytime something convenient pops up and we like it, we'll adapt to it and we'll forget about the other ways. This all started with music. The minute some people figured out that, oh my God, I can download songs online? Wow, there's no need for me to have to buy CDs anymore. Which, of course, led to pirating. But then now you have companies like Pandora, Spotify, iTunes, where you could now legally download, play, stream music. And of course, you could purchase them like on iTunes and all that. But guess what? They have the same problems too. The other day, someone that I follow on YouTube, who's a big Elden Ring fan. He loves the video game Elden Ring. So much so that he also loves the soundtrack. And he used to play the soundtrack constantly on Spotify. But guess what? It's no longer there. Why? Who knows? Maybe contract expired, licensing window, who knows? And it pissed him off. Started a whole conversation. He's like, I think from now on, what I'm going to do, well, this guy went a little bit extreme. He went and bought a mini disc player and a bunch of mini discs, and now he is downloading and saving everything from Spotify. But hey, I don't blame him. Because how can you archive, how can you keep all of this stuff and have it available to play when you want it and not be so self-reliant on these companies and these platforms, right? It just sucks. It really sucks to see that this is where we're going, but I get it too. It's convenient and it's fast, right? Gone are the days when you would go to a midnight opening or midnight release of a brand new video game. Now, midnight strikes, hit the download button. Or midnight strikes. Oh, guess what? I had it set to auto download. So it should already be on my system. Tuesdays were the days that Blu-rays and DVDs came out. Ooh, what's coming out on Tuesday? Let's go to Best Buy. Nah, you don't see people do that anymore. Unless it's like a limited edition steelbook. Those things are still very popular. But yeah, it's unfortunate. It sucks. And this kind of stuff sucks. If they know that this is going to happen, there should at least be some sort of contingency plan. If I paid money to own this, but it's being taken away because of some contract or whatever the case is, allow me the chance to at least save it or give me a coupon or something I can redeem it on some other platform. I know it's going to cost the company money, but hey, that will at least do right by the consumer. But no one thinks that way, right? Now, I'm not expecting every company to think that way too. I mean, if you are Game Pass and, you know, for in my example, Grand Theft Auto 5 is now no longer there. I started playing it a week prior to them removing it. I'm not going to say, well, I was playing this and I think I deserve to be able to still play this. You just took it out from under my arms and all, blah, blah, blah. No. If I paid significant amount of money with the idea that I now own this, those are the cases that should be looked at and be treated carefully and more properly. AKB, sorry, I missed a lot of your chats here. I can understand the biz point of view of content taking up space on server hard drive, but as IT, I know that the cost for data is absurdly small versus the cost of having the content sit there. Totally agree, but also as a business mindset, someone who is up here, they don't understand that either, right? They're just agreeing to what they're told, they're agreeing to what the numbers say and all that, and then all they'll see is like cost, cut, blah, 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 right? I mean, corporate America, you work in it long enough, you understand that. Shit, I was part of that wheel for a while, so I totally get it. AKB, especially with the companies raising costs and not offering any new software. Cough, YouTube cough. Yeah, and then mini disc, I still love it. Yeah, you know, I never got into mini discs. You know why? I think it's because when that first came out, it was very expensive, and I was like, you know what? I'm cool with CDs. I think that was also around the time that you were able to now finally burn CDs on your own. So I saw mini disc as just another unique niche kind of form of media. That along with that, now I know that was used in the industry by professionals, but I thought it was funny when I believe it was Sony that was trying to consumerize it, and that kind of fell flat big time. But yeah, I love the idea of mini discs. I had friends that had mini discs, and I thought they were the coolest thing. I love how easy it was to maintain them, you know. But yeah, I mean, again, the whole conversation about physical media will be had constantly on this channel because I'm a huge supporter of it. I believe in it. I still think we need that in our society. One of the reasons why I also love Japan is because they're still firm believers and supporters of everything physical media. It's one of the small places, rare places where you could still find a Tower Records for God's sake. You know, it's so amazing that you could still find a relic of our, meaning the United States culture, located in another country. They also still have Zima there. I don't understand what that's all about. But anyway, AKB mini disc was the future, but yes, it was prohibitively expensive for mass consumers versus CD burning. Correct. That is correct. But it was a nice piece of technology. And I feel like, what is old is new. There are a lot of people who are bringing back a lot of this retro tech. And I love that I'm starting to see things pop up like the original 3rd, 4th, 5th gen iPods being sold on Etsy with updated hard drives and batteries. I'm seeing just a love of this old tech. People trying to preserve all that stuff. I love it. It's great. It's fantastic. They also still have Toys R Us in Japan. Still blows my mind. Well, honestly, Toys R Us is still in Canada too. So it's not just Japan that has it. But yes, now that Toys R Us is slowly kind of coming back as part of Macy's and at your local airport soon, it doesn't seem to mean as much anymore, but it does. To actually walk into a physical location, Toys R Us location, after it's been taken away from us here in the United States, is always like mind-blowing and fun to experience. But yeah, let me know what you think about the whole Funimation fiasco. It's sad to see a brand go, Funimation, because growing up as an anime fan, Funimation was that staple. It was like a staple. You knew it was quality, right? You knew you were going to be able to get the great series and movies. I believe Funimation was the original company that brought out Dragon Ball, if I remember correctly, in Dragon Ball Z. But Funimation was around for a very, very long time. Very long time. So, it reminds me of, Viz Media now goes by Viz, but I remember when Viz Media was in its early stages, it was Funimation and Viz who were like the two market leaders when it comes to anime. And you had more of like the small independent studios or publishers, right? Central Park Media was a big one that released a lot of kind of unique niche anime related movies. I think there's one called Steamline Steamline Pictures or something like that. I remember the logo looked like a train. And if there was a company that wasn't able to provide anything, what did you do? You went to your local comic book convention and you bought a bootleg. Of course, those days are long gone, but I miss those days. Yeah, here I am. I'm an old guy waxing nostalgia.
You blew it!
So what? All right. AKB Mobile, what, Nani? True. True. Toys R Us in Macy's. Yeah. They, as part of this recent deal, sometime last year, they have partnered with Macy's to kind of be like the Macy's in-house toy representation. And now they're starting to roll out locations at airports, kind of like the similar model that FAO Schwartz had done before. And then, since we are here in New York, in New Jersey, at that giant mega mall amusement park complex, America Dream or whatever it's called, there is an actual physical Toys R Us in there. So, slow, quiet comeback, nothing crazy, but at least it's out there. AKB, I think we need one or two more major services to pull purchase content from consumers for this to major backlash in some way, I'm hoping. It's going to come. It's definitely going to come.
I'm going to come.
And he's going to come too. But it's coming. It will happen. And I'm sure we're going to see that this year, where something else is going to blow up like that. especially with all of these streaming services really trying to get a firm foothold in their own spot along the landscape. There's going to come a time when something like that is going to happen. And it's going to suck. It's going to piss a lot of people off. Whatever happens after that, I don't know. But I think there should be some sort of regulation that will at least protect the consumer when they make purchases of digital media online. There has to be some sort of regulation, something. Because, it's hard enough that, with inflation, to feed a family of four these days. If that family of four decides to spend $20, $30 on a movie, they better well be able to own that thing. And if they can't, then there's something wrong there. And that's all I'll say about that. All right. Moving on to some other topics, because I do want to talk about Lisa Frankenstein, and let's get into some video game announcements here, or video game related news. For us movie fans over here, there was an announcement that the Oscars are introducing a new category, which I thought was a step in the right direction of including kind of avenues of creativity that are not awarded and recognized as of yet. I've always supported and kind of put out there that I think stuntmen, stunt women, stunt people should be recognized at the Oscars. And I've had conversations with people before about casting directors should be recognized. Well, we got one. And I'm back here on The Hollywood Reporter. Film Academy announces new Oscar for Achievement in Casting. The first new Oscar to be introduced since Best Animated Feature more than 2 decades ago will be presented for the first time in 2026. The Academy of Motion Pictures Art and Sciences has announced that it will soon begin annually presenting an Oscar recognizing achievement in casting. The award, which will first be presented in 2026, will be the first new Oscar introduced since the organization began presenting Best Animated Feature in 2002 after announcing its creation in 2001. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth going on, but that's basically the big announcement there. If this could possibly lead to them including more categories, like what I mentioned before about stunt people, then I think that would be fantastic. So yeah, I thought that was worthy of noting. It's something that I think will make people happy. Star-Lord, good morning. Welcome to the stream. Nice to have you here, as always. But yeah, I think the Academy, from what it looks like at least, is taking the right steps in order to make sure that a lot of the complaints and grievances that a lot of people have are being addressed little by little, right? They're not going to be perfect, and they're not going to be able to address and cover everything fully. But I think with a lot of people talking about in the past, recognizing casting directors, especially because putting together a movie and getting the right cast is difficult. And I think a lot of people don't realize that there are people involved in that process, in matchmaking people to the right projects, to the right scripts. And then, of course, at the end of the day, the directors usually have last say as to who's going to be in their movies and their projects. But to round all these people up, I mean, it takes a person, a village to do all that stuff. And it's nice to see that at least they're getting some sort of recognition here. Fingers crossed that we're going to be getting stunt people next, because they totally deserve that recognition. All right. Let's move on to my review of the day. And that is for a new movie that I watched last night called Lisa Frankenstein. Lisa Frankenstein! It's a new movie written by Diablo Cody. And if that name sounds familiar, then you are probably familiar with some of her work. If not, I'm going to remind you. So just give me 1 second, as for some reason I hate when my web browser decides to act all funky. Starlord, is that Gina on the wall? No, this is who's that girl that sings the Friday song? Rebecca Black back there. AKB Mobile Frankenstein. So yeah, Lisa Frankenstein, written by Diablo Cody. Diablo Cody is very well known for writing the screenplays to popular movies like Juno. She also wrote movies like Tully. She also directed comedies like Paradise. She written and produced Jennifer's Body, Ricky and the Flash. She's also done some TV work. She's very well known and very well respected in the industry. So obviously when this movie was announced, it was very exciting. A lot of people were looking forward to it, looking forward to what Cody has in store for us. It's also the directorial debut of Zelda Williams. Zelda Williams is the daughter of Robin Williams. So I think a lot of people were also excited to see how her directorial debut will turn out. And it stars Kathryn Newton as the main character, Lisa. Kathryn Newton is also known as Cassie Lang in the MCU. At least she is now. She wasn't the original Cassie Lang, but all that controversy aside, she is now our Cassie Lang. And she was first introduced to us in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And of course, she's been involved in other things too. I am not very familiar with her work because, let's face it, the stuff that she does is more geared towards teenagers and the younger generation, and I'm just not in that world. That's not a part of my world. AKB Mole, Zelda Williams is directing. Yeah, this is her first stab at it. No pun intended, it being a Frankenstein-like type of movie. So just to kind of give you a synopsis of the movie, you have Lisa, who is the main character there. She is now living with her new family. Her dad got remarried because her mom sadly passed away. So she is finding it hard to adapt to her new environment and, of course, dealing with the grief of the passing of her mom. She spends most of her time at this kind of abandoned cemetery where she finds a favorite tombstone of hers that she hangs out with. And it is the tombstone of this guy, Michael Trent, just some random dude who I guess lived back in the good old days of the Victorian era. And, he also had an untimely and unfortunate passing, but he also passed during a heartbreak. So because of unusual circumstances and what have you, somehow his body became reanimated and he is now living. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, the main guy doesn't actually have a name. I'm reading the I'm reading the credits here and it says The Creature. That's so funny. I thought it was Michael Trent. Who's Michael Trent? Oh, I know who Michael Trent was. Oh, it's another kid in the movie. All right. let's rewind a bit. So there's this guy, Tombstone, at the cemetery she hangs out with because for some reason she fell in love with the Tombstone. This creature comes to life because of a lightning strike, and then we get shenanigans after that. Obviously, this is touted as a romance, coming like a comedy horror romance. It is definitely geared towards the younger generation. It is a very teen-centric type of movie. 1/3 in, and I kind of already knew, and I came to the conclusion that this movie was not meant for me because it is speaking to definitely a younger generation. I felt the same way when I saw the movie Bottoms. That was definitely speaking to a younger generation. I also felt the same way with Polite Society, not my generation. So I am admitting defeat, at least when it comes to those type of movies, that it's going to be very hard for me to relate to movies like that now, because I'm at that age where it's hard for me now to know and understand the language that is being spoken to the younger generation. That being said, this movie had a lot of homages and throwbacks to earlier eras that I am very familiar with, and that is like the 80s and 90s. This movie felt like it was something that was really literally taken out of the 80s. The movie itself takes place in the 80s. There's a lot of music, and the soundtrack is filled of 80s stuff that I am very familiar with. The fashion, all that, but also in the filmmaking. There's a lot of things that really called out to me of stuff I've seen from the 80s. I felt like I saw a lot of influences from Beetlejuice. I felt like I saw a lot of influences from movies like Encino Man, which I think that's more 90s, like early 90s. It is kind of a movie like if you were to take Encino Man and Beetlejuice, combine it together, maybe add a hint of Edward Scissorhands, then you get a movie kind of like this. This is like The Stepchild. And it's quirky as fuck. It is a movie filled with quirk. And I think that speaks to the writing of Cody. A lot of the things that she writes is very quirky. Juno itself was a very quirky type of movie. Tully is another quirky type of movie. So it really speaks to the writing. As far as the directing is concerned, like I said, there's a lot of homages and tributes to a generation that I'm sure she grew up around because of her dad. And you could see those influences really speak out in this movie. As far as the performances are concerned, I thought Kathryn Newton was okay. Again, very quirky. And it's kind of odd, I guess, for me, seeing a younger generational actress try to act like an actress from the 80s. And that's what I felt like she was really trying hard to do here. She was really trying to embody kind of like that Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink type of persona in this type of role, but also being very moody and gothic. So take Molly Ringwald from Pretty in Pink and mix that with Lydia Dietz. Is that the character's name from Beetlejuice? It's like you're combining the two into one person, and that's basically what you got here. Starlord saying, speaking to a younger generation, if it's a reboot, I can connect with. Well, if there are ties to an older property that we are familiar with, then yes, those things are a little bit easier to kind of connect with. But for something fresh, that's what I'm speaking more on. It is getting harder and harder for me to be able to relate and connect to those things, like this movie. So it was interesting to see her kind of try to embody that type of actress in her performance. Everyone else around her also was doing the same thing. It really felt like I was watching this movie taken from a time capsule, because it just felt like a different era. And I felt like a lot of it, because of that, felt pretty flat. and emotionless in a way. Outside of Kathryn Newton, Carla Gugino is in here playing her mom, or I should say her new mom. Also, you go Joe Kress playing Dale, her dad. He is also known as Mike's dad in Stranger Things. So it's, talk about typecasting. He is definitely cast to type as the father figure there. But at the end of the day, was it enjoyable? There are moments where I did chuckle and I laughed. And I think I laughed more at the absurdity of what I was seeing. There was one moment, and again, I always have to say this because you're going to have people, they're going to bitch and complain eventually when they rewatch this or whatever. Spoiler warning. The way I talk about movies on this stream is I am open. I am going to talk about things the way I want to talk about it. If you're looking for a spoiler-free review, there are tons of other videos on YouTube that you can watch. Here, I'm having an open discussion, and I like to talk about the movies and things that I watch freely without worrying about spoilers. I give you proper warning, but coming into here, you should already know that. Starlord saying, I agree, that would be Greek to me. Yeah, exactly. But there's this moment in the movie where now here's let's rewind a bit. So what happens in the movie is that lightning strikes because one fateful night, Lisa said, I wish I was with you. She said that to the tombstone at the cemetery where she's at. The creature of Victorian era comes to life because of lightning strike, almost like her wish was being granted, right? And he comes out looking like this really petrified looking zombie, like muddy, bloody thing, right? Got the bugs crawling out of him. That's why it also reminded me of Beetlejuice, because Beetlejuice was very much like that too. She washed him up, and he's missing an ear, and he's missing a hand. So what happens is that he is very fond of her because he was brought to life because of her wish. So he was under the impression that she loves him. And she's like, no, that was what I meant to say, was that I wish I was with you, meaning buried underground. I wish I was dead because my life sucks, this and that. Because she was at this party, she was being made fun at, and she got drugged by a drink. She was all out of it. This nerdy guy who was her lab partner tried to take advantage of her. Nothing crazy, just felt her boob, put her hand on his junk, and she left and ran out of there. And she's like, everyone sucks. People suck. Blah, blah, blah. Right. So she's like, no, that's not what I meant. But you could tell that this creature is very protective of her because her new mom is kind of controlling, demanding, pretty much a bitch. And, because Lisa has acted out in the past, breaking stuff, she's had it with her. And there's an incident, when this guy came to life, he busted through the window, broke a lot of stuff in the house. He doesn't know how to walk or what have you. So the mom confronted her and she's like berating her. She's like, I am gonna put you into a private school and you're gonna need help and maybe we'll admit you to this psych ward and da-da-da. So here comes the creature. Bang. Bust her outside the head. She basically dies. And I was like, oh, I didn't know we were going to go this way. Because I thought this was like a team kind of quirky, comedic, wholesome kind of thing. Like, no, we just killed somebody. All right. And what does this creature decide to do? He points at the ear of the lady. And he's like, basically, give me that ear. And she's like, oh, I can't do that until we bury the body first. And then all of a sudden, it's this montage of them carting this body out back to the cemetery, throwing it into the grave. And she's like, wait a minute. Is it pleasant down there? And he's like, And then she had a huge grin on her face. Good. So what happens next? We cut to her sewing this damn ear on this guy. And then they figured out, oh, for some reason, they figured out that they need electricity to kind of re-energize him. I guess because of the lightning and all that. He kind of hints that to her. And earlier we saw an incident where she was in a tanning bed that would belong to her sister that she won. And it almost electrocuted Lisa. So he's like, I got an idea. Puts him into the tanning bed, turns it on. And then now he's looking a little bit more fresher. Like, aha. This is what we're going to do moving forward. Now she has this new lease on life. She's feeling good because they did something wacky and crazy. And now she has this friend she could rap with and she could hang out with, right? But she still has a crush on this one guy. So she's always asking for advice. Very teenager stuff. But then she has this idea. Oh. She writes this love note. Meet me, blah, 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 this and that. And then she got the confirmation, yes. But it's not at the guy that she has a crush on. It's on the boy who felt her up at the party. It's like, oh, come with me. It's like, oh, why are we at the cemetery? And she's like, I like hanging out here. No, this and that. And all of a sudden, bang. Here comes the creature. I gotcha, sucker. And he's like, oh, no. Basically, they now kill this boy. Why? Because they want his hand. So, throw him into the grave. Sews the hand on. Puts him into the tanning bed. Oh, he's looking more and more human-like now. And as the movie goes on, obviously there is a relationship, a crush being formed between the creature and Lisa. But Lisa still doesn't see yet because her mind is still set on this one guy in school. So one day she decides, this is the day. This is a day I'm going to confess my love for this guy. And basically, I just want to have sex with him. I want to get it out of the way now because I don't want to die a virgin. And of course, the creature's like, basically like, well, what about me? And of course, you could tell he's getting jealous. Somehow he's learned to drive a car on his own. So he's like chasing her to school. And she's like, drop me off at this boy's house. He wasn't in school today. I'm just going to bust in there and confess my love. Drives to the house of the boy. She walks in. She's like, oh, I can't wait. He's in bed with her sister. How dare you? How dare you? I thought you didn't like him. How could you do this to me? Why? Because you're pretty and you get everything and you don't want me to have anything, teen drama stuff. And then the boy is like, well, to be honest with you, things weren't going to work out between us anyway. This and that. And she goes off on this whole rant. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. You're the cool one. You like the cool movies, but the girls you like can't be like you. They have to be dumb and pretty and And you see all of a sudden now the creature coming up because he's pissed. He's like, you know what? I was going to be okay with her not loving me, getting what she wants. But now she's getting disrespected. Fuck that. Busting through the bedroom, axe in hand. And now it's become slow motion, this montage of craziness. They got this awesome 80s song playing in the background. On the wings of love. On the wings of love. And he swings down the axe. Boom. You see blood splatter everywhere in slow motion glory. And then you see a shadow. It's the dude's penis flying off. I couldn't stop laughing at this shit. This was hilarious. And you see the sister, blood on the face. You see Lisa's petrified. The guy's like, and the penis lands into the trash can. And the creature wasn't even done yet. He's like, you know what? I got this. I'm going to just end up killing the rest of you. And Lisa was able to push him out. Like, no, we got to get out of here. And the sister's just screaming relentlessly in bed, like, ah, ah. Homeboy is just like out like that. The creature picks up the trash can, walks out. And Lisa's trying to take the sister out. She's all bloodied and she's like petrified and just like, they drive to the cemetery to follow this guy. And she's like, I'm sorry. Thank you for being there for me this whole time. Blah, 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 this and that. Right? So she catches up with the creature and is like, I can't believe you did that. But I think I realize now, you care for me. You love me. And while they're having this serious conversation, you kind of realize that there's like police tape in the background that was never there before. Because mind you, they're hunting for the missing boy and the missing mom. And they don't really clarify, but I think they figured out that they found the bodies in this grave. So hence why there's police tape. So as they're having this serious conversation, all of a sudden a police officer just comes up. It's like, hey kids, you can't be here. This is an active crime scene. You just see the creature look at her. And then the police officer's like, and the creature just picks her up and then just throws her into the grave. And I'm just like, what the hell am I watching? So they run back home and, they're finally like realizing that they have love for each other and, they would love to have sex, but they can't because apparently his penis is rotted off. Right. And she finds out because he puts her hand on there and he's like, and she's like, oh, well, we don't have to, have sex. We could do other things. And then he just whips out piece of newspaper that I'm assuming has the penis wrapped around it. And she's like, oh. And then now you have the scene. You see her like sawing this junk on and puts him back into the tanning bed. Right? And I guess they do the deed, right? The way the movie ends basically is that they confess each other's love, but at the same time, she thinks because of everything that's happened, she cannot stay here. And things are terrible and all that. So she decides that maybe it's the best time to kind of end her life. To the dismay, of course, of the creature, right? Or I think the thinking was like, well, maybe I could be like you and we could be with each other forever in the afterlife. So she puts herself in the tanning bed, puts it on the most highest setting ever. Boom. Everything goes up in fires and flames. The neighborhood is like, oh my God, I always knew something was up with that girl. She's a weirdo. Fade to black. Then come back. We're at this park bench with the creature. Now he can speak. Now he knows how to speak English. He somehow was able to get back his speech, and he's reading a story, a book. Blee, blue, blee, blue, blee, blue. And as the camera pans around, we see good old Lisa wrapped up in bandages, dressed in red, wearing the similar brooch like Dracula wore. I don't know if that was a reference to anything. Like a throwback, maybe. Right. And, we see that he's reading the story to her. And then she opens up her eyes. It looks all bloody and ugly. And then that's it. End of movie. So it's funny. I feel like I enjoyed the movie more after just talking about it. Because it's kind of one of those things where you talk about it out loud. It's absurd. It's crazy. It's kind of stupid at times. But when you really think about it, it could be actually kind of funny if done in a different way, right? Or if like said as a fable. But that's the movie there. And, like I said, there were moments I appreciated. There were moments I laughed at. This is one of those movies that is made perfectly for a Midnight Madness screening at a film festival somewhere. If you go to like a film festival, there's always that night where they show like the weird movies, the kind of quirky movies, and you have all the film nerds will like gather up in a room and watch and enjoy a movie together. I feel like Lisa Frankenstein is a movie perfect for that. It's PG-13. They got away with a lot of stuff, I think, for PG-13, but it also felt PG-13. It felt very safe for most of it. And I think for a debut for Zelda, I think it was decent. I'm curious to see what else she will do in the future. But I don't think this movie was necessary to release theatrically. I'm sure they probably decided to do it because it was riding high off of the festival circuit. And of course, Cody, like I said, is a legendary screenwriter now. And this is Zelda. They want to give respect to Zelda and maybe put something out there that she's doing for the first time. But I think this was probably better suited for a Netflix, Apple TV Plus, Amazon. I felt like it felt more like that type of movie you will watch on that type of platform. So at the end of the day, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. I did not give it a heart. I don't think I will be revisiting this movie anytime soon. But I will say this. Don't be surprised if this movie ends up being a cult classic to this younger generation. Because I can see a younger generation really appreciating a movie like this with its quirkiness, with the portrayal of a period in time. And at the end of the day, it is kind of a romance story. We got Valentine's Day coming out next week. Could couples be going out to see this? I would probably ask them to watch something else. There's that movie you could still watch, Anyone But You, with Sydney Sweeney, that I think will be better suited for couples to go watch. By the way, Starlord with the great chat here, put a rubber on it. It's probably cold. And AKB with Dick in a Box 2024. That's right. This new iteration is Dick in a trash can. I think when this movie hits streaming, I think I just want to watch that moment again. On the wings of love, chopping your dick off. The only way I know how. Chopping your dick off. There you go. Karaoke night. That's going to be my next song. So yeah, so that's Lika? You blew it! That's Lisa Frankenstein. Let me know in the comments if this is a movie you're willing to see, if you're looking forward to this movie, or if you've seen it already, let me know what you thought about it. And if there's anything that you agree or disagree with anything that I said about the movie. Would love to hear your thoughts on it all. So yeah, that's Lisa Frankenstein. So let's move on to some video game related news and topics. Fridays, I usually like to reserve for those moments. Obviously, the biggest video game related news happened already this week with the whole Epic Games and Disney kind of partnership. Disney investing $1.5 billion in the company. So they do have a stake now in Epic Games, announcing that they're going to have this huge Disney integration in with Fortnite. Star-Lord, I will see the trailer. I'm intrigued. Oh, well, good. There you go. Could be something to check out. And I don't know if you're like me, but even if you hear someone talk about it and spoil things, I can still go and enjoy the movie fresh. Because I have a way of just putting a lot of that stuff behind me and in the back of my head. Maybe when I watch something, maybe something will trigger and I'll be like, oh, I remember that person talking about that. So I'm not really, it doesn't really bother me. Now, obviously, if it's a major spoiler, like if I went to see The Sixth Sense for the first time and someone just said, oh, by the way, you know, Bruce Willis was dead the whole time, I would have been like, you fuck. And I remember there was only one instance that had happened to me because it hasn't happened to me in a very long time since that time. And it was, we're going back now to like 2004 or 5. I forget exactly the year. The Harry Potter movies are still coming out in theaters. I never read the books, so I'm just watching the movies fresh as they come out. And a really good friend of mine, our circle, we love sharing emails. Back then it was all pure emails. Before now it's like group chats, texts, all that stuff. But back then it was just emails, forwards, all that stuff. One of my friends sent out an email to our friend group with this t-shirt design, and it's called the spoiler shirt, right? You might know about it, maybe you've heard about it. So I just open it up. Oh, what's this shirt? The first thing that pops up right there is Snake kills Dumbledore. And I'm like, fuck you.
Fuck off!
Because I didn't know that. But if you read the books, you knew that. And I was like, what the flying F? And I got pretty mad. And, my friend, he's just very nonchalant and chill about it. He's basically like, my bad. You can't hate him for that. You can't. But I couldn't stop laughing. I was just like, that is fucking hilarious. After the fact now, I can laugh about it. But at that time, I was pretty peeved. And I remember my ex, who was very much into Harry Potter's, read all the books. She's like, she tried her best to kind of, veer me away from that scent. And she's like, no, that's not true. That didn't really happen. Or it's not what you think. And of course, I saw the movie and was like, no, it fucking happened. What are you talking about, dummy? But I see what you were trying to do. I appreciate it. But anyway. So definitely check it out. If and when you do, Star-Lord, let me know if you enjoyed it. All right. One of the biggest things outside of the whole Epic Games Disney thing, in my opinion, that's very worth talking about in the video game space is Capcom. In my opinion, Capcom has been very irrelevant for some time now. And you're hearing this probably like, what are you talking about? How could you even say such a thing? They do Street Fighter. When was the last time I played Street Fighter? I couldn't even tell you. It's been a hot minute. If you're into fighting games, then that's great for you. But I'm not. So I couldn't care less about Street Fighter 6 or any of that stuff, right? During the recent State of Play, they announced that they're bringing back Dragon's Dogma with the sequel, which I was kind of surprised to see. I'm like, wow, you guys are still are thinking of bringing that back? Okay. And then Monster Hunter has always been around, still huge in Japan. We've already seen versions come out here in the States. So that's a franchise that they're keeping strong. But other than that, Capcom has a library, has a history of tons and tons of characters, storylines, and what have you that they have not come back to and revisited for some time. I think a lot of people will say that they've been dying for another Mega Man, a proper Mega Man release. Phoenix Wright, I feel like we're still getting that stuff, so I wouldn't include that in this. We just recently got the Apollo Justice trilogy that came out, I believe, the collection there. But you have things like Ghosts and Goblins, Ghouls and Ghosts. We had that Maximo series that came out during the PlayStation 2 era. What about games like Onimusha, Devil May Cry, You know, I think we're getting tired of the Resident Evil stuff. Everything is a remake now. RE remake, RE remake. You know, how many times are they going to remake 4? Yeah, I think they're just buying time until they can announce a new Resident Evil. But also, Resident Evil it's never had a break. It's been consistent for the most part. Starlord saying Street Fighter, Capcom versus Marvel was amazing. Oh yeah, if you go back to like the 2D fighting era, I still love playing those games, especially with my friends. Like those still hold up. Watching how the new Street Fighter 6 plays, I'm just like, you've lost me. I just can't anymore. There's just too much going on. Right? And maybe it's sensory overload too, because it's just too much, right? But anyways, so Capcom put out this thing. I'm going to share my screen right now. Capcom Town. Capcom Super Elections. 10 questions for Capcom fans. So this was something that they put out. And when seeing this, and I also shared this with my friends, I said, Capcom is very out of touch with the fan base. And it is unfortunate and sad. That means all the cries, all the outpouring of what the fans want to see, they have not been paying attention. Or at the very least, the wrong people are paying attention. So they decided to put this thing out there to kind of get a feel of what the fans are looking for, what the fans would like to see brought back. And there are questions in here like, what series or franchise would you like to see be redone or deserves a sequel, right? I'm going to go through the questionnaire so you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's fascinating to me that they have decided to kind of do this way. But it's been years that a lot of people online, they could easily just do a search and they could see what the conversation is, what people are looking for. You know, what the fans are clamoring for. So let's go through this real quick. So I'm going to hit vote. First, create a card. So this is just basically they get a sense of, let's create your identity, right? So what I'm going to do here is, if it asks you if you are a member of the cast of Capcom Town, what would your job title be? Please select just one of the choices. And then you can kind of see what properties these are attached to. Well Done Hunter, Monster Hunter. Anti-Zombie Police, Resident Evil. Town Fighter, Street Fighter. Complaint Attorney, Phoenix Wright. Walking Assistant Robot, Mega Man. Stylish Cleaner. Who's the Stylish Cleaner? Naked Knight, Maximo. Ghosts and Goblins, Ghouls and Ghosts. Who's the Stylish Cleaner? Am I not thinking of something? Anyway, Stylish Cleaner it is. If you could learn one special move, what would it be? Please select just one of the choices. So, of course, you got your Spirit Blade, Headshot, Hadouken, Objection, Double Jump, blah, 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 blah. So I want to say sliding. I want to slide. And then it says, you know, all of this stuff. So I'm just going to say this, and this. My region is in the United States. Hello, United States. Why, thank you. My date of birth, I'll give my real date of birth here. You're going to see my age and you're going to say, you're an old fuck. Indeed, I am. I'm male. And I'm just going to put in some random email address. All right. Create my card. And basically it says that they mail your card off to your email address, yada, yada, yada. It's just something nice to download and have as wallpaper. So let's vote now. All right. Capcom elections. Have this big presentation here. They spent a lot of time and money on this. So first, they just ask you an open-ended question. Which of the following Capcom games do you like the best? Please select just one of the choices. Now, it's a drop-down, but you basically just do a search. So in your mind, this is the moment here where you're just basically thinking about what game under the Capcom umbrella is your favorite, right? So I'm just going to type in here Resident Evil, because that first game really is one of my favorites, if I'm to be very honest with you. This doesn't mean anything to any kind of results or questions they're going to ask you later on. They're just getting a sense and feel of what is your favorite game. And I'm sure they got a whole bunch of different responses there. Hit next. Next one is, who is your favorite Capcom character? Please select just one of the choices. If the character name is a single letter, try searching by the series name. So again, open-ended question. I've always loved Mega Man, so I'm going to say Mega Man. There he is. Old school Mega Man. Love that photo. All right. Now, what do you look for in Capcom games? Please select up to 3 choices. Choices are exhilarating gameplay, unpredictable and exciting storylines, unique worlds, replay value, memorable and moving music, unique and captivating characters, superb graphics, first-time experiences for new genres, ability to play with players worldwide, or difficult but satisfying and rewarding gameplay. So what I'm going to put here, I'm going to say exhilarating gameplay, unpredictable and exciting storylines, and unique and captivating characters. How are we looking so far? Good? All right. What image do you have of Capcom? Pioneers, masters of its craft, playful, extremely meticulous. The HQ is in Japan. Nice. Weird, in a good way. A hub of amazing creators, unique, global competitor, or I don't have a specific image of the company. My original choice that I would have loved to have seen here is not here, and that is old school thinking, no forward movement. But I will say they are pioneers. They are one of the original video game companies that has introduced a lot of things to the industry and to the genre. So I'm going to say that. All right. Now we get to the nitty gritty. Are there any Capcom game series, including spin-off games, that you would like to see get a sequel or a brand new game? You could select up to 3 choices here. Bam. When I saw this, I'm like, hell yeah, look at this library of stuff that they haven't touched in a long time. Darkstalkers, Okami, Onimusha. I already said Ace Attorney is still kind of out there. Street Fighter is always out there. Sengoku Basara, Dino Crisis, Dead Rising, which had a nice shelf life on early Xbox systems. Devil May Cry, Dragon's Dogma, which we're getting the sequel already because they announced that. Toraware no Paruma, I don't know what that is. Versus Capcom series, Resident Evil, Final Fight, Breath of Fire, Ghosts and Goblins, Monster Hunter, Lost Planet. My God, Lost Planet. Mega Man, and 1942 Said Nobody. Now, you do have omissions here. Another friend of mine brought it up. No Beautiful Joe. What happened to Beautiful Joe? It had 2 games under its belt. No mention of it here. I think it has some rights thing to do with the original creator. That was my opinion, my take on it. So, AKB. Another great point. Where the flipping hell is Bionic Commando? So we have some obvious omissions here, right? But give them credit. There are some things that they mention here that I have not heard of or seen in some time. Right? So, I personally think Onimusha is prime time for a remake or at least a very much a sequel. Especially now that we got that Netflix animated limited series. So you have fans screaming for Onimusha. I already voted on this separately on my real account. So I don't care. I'm going to change things up a little bit. But I'm also going to say Dino Crisis. Dinosaurs are still big. My last stream, I mentioned that they're working on a new Jurassic World movie. And I think Dino Crisis was just one of those underrated titles under the Capcom name, but it was under the shadow of Resident Evil. And I felt not enough time was spent on this kind of series that they could have really evolved and changed, just like dinosaurs have. Get it?
Wow.
But I think they could have done a lot with this, and I think they still should. Star-Lord, I'm still waiting for the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. Konami is another problem in the industry. And I could probably spend another episode, another morning talking about all that stuff. They are a hot mess. It could be Onimusha, especially with Jean Paul. Hell yeah! Get Jean Reno back in there. Let's go. Otherwise, Lost Planet, you get Dino Crisis with grappling hooks. That's true. That is very true. Plus, you also have a generation of people who probably never played Lost Planet. I couldn't even tell you the last time I remember playing Lost Planet. But my choice would be Dino Crisis. And my next choice will be Final Fight. Because we already got Sega hinting at the Streets of Rage. I don't know if it's a remake, or reboot, or whatever. But beat 'em ups, I think, can still do well and are very popular. Last year, we were treated to that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. That did really well, and I found myself loving that game. With Streets of Rage 4, when that came out, that was a blast. I think Final Fight can do really well with a new sequel to a classic beat 'em up. So those are just my choices. But again, this whole concept here of them polling fans as to what they want to see is just fascinating. And we're not done yet. As we hit next, is there a game that you would like to see completely remade with latest technology, including character design and story direction? But here you could only choose one. The one thing that stood out that shocked me, because I honestly thought that they completely forgot about this, and that is Rival Schools. Rival Schools, the last time we saw this was back during the Dreamcast days, if I remember correctly. And it was another fighting game that they put out there. Had a lot of different dynamics, a lot of different mechanics. But I love the character designs, and I love how they all had their own personalities, very different. And it takes place in a school setting, hence the name Rival Schools. You have schools going against each other. I was shocked when they put that up there. And I was also shocked that they included things that we are still seeing today, like Ace Attorney. Like, we've already gotten newer versions with Apollo Justice. Like, I don't understand that. Mega Man, I don't think people want to see a whole remake of Mega Man. I think people just want to see a freaking proper sequel to it. That's just my thought. I just think that's what they're looking for. But then they have stuff here that they kind of dug up from the past. And they brought, like, again, Animusha. Commando. Commando. Out of all titles, Commando. I don't know what this is. Nijiroshi no Kiseki. Huh? Final Fight. Breath of Fire. Another kind of underrated RPG series. I was never I wasn't really a fan of it, but it's something that I remember, especially from like the Super Nintendo days. Gargoyle's Quest, which is kind of a spin-off of Ghosts and Goblins, right? And then they have a choice here, not in here. Like you've run out of stuff to put up. Come on, give me a break. AKB, The Dragon's Dogma, launching next month, is going to be amazing. DD1 was a sleeper mostly everyone missed, including myself, I will admit. My bro and I are seriously taking launch day off. Nice. Good shit. Played Rival Schools and Rival Schools 2 with my bro over holidays. It hasn't aged at all. That game is... It's amazing that they put out a game like that, that our generation loved at the time. We thought it was new, it was refreshing, it wasn't Street Fighter finally. On a system that I felt got a bad break, but they never came back to it. It's like it died with the system. And I never understood that one bit. AKB Mobile also said remake Bionic Commando, dang it. I would agree with that. You could make, I mean, look at what Sega is doing now, right? As I stretch my back out a little bit. Sega is hinting at them bringing back Shinobi with its unique kind of cel-shaded look and style to it. You have them with their Streets of Rage that looks different, their Golden Axe that looks extremely different. They're going 3D with that. Bringing back Jet Set Radio, Crazy Taxi. So I feel like they are doing something right there. At least they're enticing the old school fans and introducing new things to a new, younger generation. Capcom has the ability to do that a lot. F Commando. Replace it with Bionic Commando. Unless they're thinking this is all under the same universe. And if that's true, what are they smoking? So yeah. So just for sake of this, I am going to put here, I don't know, Rival Schools. Just because I feel like Rival Schools should be mentioned. All right. Now it says, what was the first Capcom game you ever played? I'm going to go back to the arcade days. And it was Ghosts and Goblins. Am I not spelling it right? Is it Ghost in Goblins? All right. Come on. Ghouls and Ghosts, Ghosts and Goblins. That was the first Capcom game I ever played in the arcades. Next, which Capcom game has influenced you the most? Influenced me. I guess I'll just put in, again, I do love the original Resident Evil, so I'll do that. I have very fond memories of that game and how it changed my mind about storytelling and horror in games. That hallway scene where the dogs bust through the window freaked me the fuck out, so I'll give it that. Do you have a complaint you would like to share with Capcom? Please select one. Too slow to release new numbered titles, lame designs, too money-oriented, needs to communicate with its fans better. I've got lots of reasons not listed above. Release more original titles, not sequels. Reboot old IPs already. Not enough merchandise in stock. I didn't know people were going rabid over their merchandise. Resting on its laurels too much lately. No complaints here. Keep up the good work. Reboot old IPs already. Bam. Done deal. Trademark. Not to me, but to its original owner. We welcome all your support for Capcom. Yes, no, it depends on how. This in itself is a weird question, so I'm just going to put this one. It depends on how Capcom acts. There, boom. Do you have any final thoughts? Be better. Okay. Next. And then it just recaps your votes and all that, and then you can cast your vote. And then you have thank you. Ba-da-boo. So yeah. So this was just an interesting thing that came out this week, and I wanted to definitely take some time to talk about it because it shows me how out of touch Capcom is with its fan base, and I think generally with their place in the industry. I mentioned already before, Konami is another company that is really lost, and I don't know what they're planning to do. They're so busy, I don't know, making gyms in Japan, doing pachinko machines. But these are two major staples in the video game history that have kind of lost their way, and it would be nice for them to kind of find their way back. That's all I'll say about that. So I encourage you, go to captown.capcom.com, do your own voting, sign up there. Maybe us as a fan base can make a difference. Here's hoping.
I'm gonna come.
All right. Looks like I'm going to go a little late this morning, folks. And I'm okay with that. There's just a couple more things I want to talk about here. So, Take-Two hit the news briefly because it was kind of hinted on when we could expect Grand Theft Auto 6. And basically the headline here was that Take-Two forecasts fourth quarter bookings in the range of 1.27 billion to 1.32 billion compared with analysts' expectations. Blah, blah, blah. Finance. Grand Theft Auto 6, the latest installment of the best-selling franchise, is set for 2025 release, and it's looking like it's going to be earlier in the year. At least that is what is being hinted on. We don't know yet. Still have time yet in between that time from now until then. So we'll see what happens. All right. I think let's close the morning out with speculation time. Now, I was hoping to put this thing together because what we do here also during the morning streams is that we at times like to speculate about stuff. So I'm going to hint on something that I'm working on. It's just its own little theme music, right? And it's time for the speculator. It's time for the speculator. It's time for the speculator. Let's go. It's time for the speculator. It's time for the speculator. It's time for the speculator. It's time for the speculator.
Yeah!
So let's speculate. Obviously, the rumors about Xbox going multi-platform, all that stuff led Phil Spencer to say, hey guys, I hear ya. Stay tuned next week. We're going to give an update, business update. But what could they be updating us on? So I think everyone obviously is thinking, rightly so, that they are going to finally make an official announcement about them going multi-platform. Or announcing some sort of program or time window when some of their titles will be going to other platforms. I think it makes more sense if Microsoft said, hey, Indiana Jones and the Circle of Life. It's the Circle of Life. I know that's not the name. I'm just having fun here. When you come out, you're going to be exclusive to Xbox for 3 months. Gives enough time for fans to play it on their Xboxes, on their PCs if it's available. And then after 3 months, boom, PlayStation 5, Switch 2, right? AKB Mobile, it's been working well for PlayStation releasing their first party AAA games titles to PC. Yes. And also, mind you, that they don't do it with all of their titles either. But they're also very slow with it. I will say that. And if Xbox decides to be slow with it too, who am I to argue, right? That's their choice. But I'm pretty sure the gaming industry, the fans would appreciate it if it was a smaller window. And an increase of releases and availability to multi-platform stuff. Right? So that could be the thing that they're talking about. But what else? What else could Xbox and Phil Spencer talk about next week? Give us a business update? Boring. We want to know the good stuff. What's going to happen with Xbox? So shall we play speculation time now? Shall we play the guessing game? Don't take what I'm going to say here take it with a grain of salt. I am not a fortune teller. I am not a seer. What do they call Punxsutawney Phil? Prognosticator of prognosticators. Seer of all seers. I am not that. Technical game trivia. It's slow for PlayStation, PC, as it's a very different computer software architecture between the two. The difference between Xbox and that is very true. I totally agree. I'm very aware of that. And I know it's different when you program a game for PlayStation and then have it adapted for an environment like Xbox, which Xbox and PC are very similar. That's why games you play on Game Pass on your PC are very similar to the same games that you play on the Xbox console. I'm very much aware of that. That is very true. But for those of you who don't know, that is the case there too. However, I also do feel that if Sony had a dedicated team or teams working on ports, then it doesn't have to take that long, right? Give or take, different sides of the coin, all that stuff. Anything could be said about those things. Plus, it's known that Microsoft has more money to spend than Sony would on a gaming division because, Microsoft owns a lot of shares of markets in a lot of things. The operating system market, they have their Surface, which is a well-respected tablet/laptop. So their funds are kind of more easily available. And that's why I kind of said before in a previous episode that I expect them to continue making consoles because they can afford, in my mind, to kind of eat those costs a little bit. Just to have some sort of footprint in the industry, in the landscape. It could also be an ego thing. Who knows? But they can afford to spend that money. Because if you are serious about gaming and you don't want to cough up $2,000 plus on a gaming PC, if you bought an Xbox Series X, that's almost like a gaming PC Lite. I'm just going to be honest with you. And if you're a fan of those titles that are available in that system, then that's the route you would go. So what's going to happen with the console? I think they may announce a price drop. Price drops are usually announced during E3. But hey, guess what? E3 doesn't exist anymore. Sorry. But I think it's very possible they could be announcing some sort of price drop. I also think that it's very possible they could go the Sony route and surprise us with a new console announcement. A slim, so to speak. Why? Because we already know they've been kind of working on it because of leaks that happened last year. And I'll share my screen once again. Remember this picture, everybody? They're calling it the Brooklyn. The Xbox Series X refresh, now all digital. Earlier, I talked about the all digital future landscape that we're coming across. And right now, you could either get the Xbox Series X or the Series S, which is all digital, but also less power. And technically is a little bit less than a Series X. Kind of like how you would see a PS4 and a PS4 Pro, or an Xbox One and an Xbox 1.5. I forgot what they called the other one after that. But this was leaked from a presentation that Microsoft had, and there already were talks and working on an Xbox Series X Slim. It looks like one of the old school Alexa devices. Oh God, I hope I didn't wake her up. Oh, I did. I saw the light go on. Sorry. But it's smaller, easily fit in someone's ecosystem at home. All digital. It's 2 terabytes worth of storage. Right? So this could be the next addition to the Xbox family. Could they be finally announcing that next week? Who knows? What about their new controller that they were working on? Another thing that was leaked out. A lot of people love their Xbox Pro controller, especially PC gamers, with all the customizations, how tight.
I'm gonna come.
The sticks feel, the diagonal button. This new controller, codenamed Sebile or Sebile, at a price of $69.99, could be considered as Xbox Wireless 2. This could be the new generation of Xbox controllers. They could be announcing something like that, right? AKB Mobile. Oh yeah, MS funding comes from enterprise servers and cloud. Xbox division is a drop in the bucket, but gets massive subsidizing. Absolutely, 1000%. RIP E3. I will make sure that when that time comes, we should have an all E3 episode and talk about E3. Give it its proper respects. And then all digital, ... Yeah. So these were things that they were already considering and working on, right? So these could be some of the things that they may announce. Another thing, and call this crazy, and I'm not going to be behind this. I think this would be a waste of time. Just like how I thought the PlayStation Portal was kind of a waste of time. They could be announcing a portable Xbox, similar to the Switch. Produced by the Microsoft Surface team. Since they already have the experience with making portable devices, I think it is very possible and would be crazy if they announced that they were going to be making a portable console. But I could also see them crazy enough and the balls enough to actually go out there and do that. Could you imagine? I could foresee this happening. I mentioned when I was talking about PlayStation 5 during the state of play that the portable landscape has grown tremendously in the last couple of years. Not only because of the Switch, and not only because of the Steam Deck, but because of other companies trying to get their part in this landscape. And I've mentioned them all before. You got your ROG Allies. You got your Ioneos. You got your Lenovo's. They're all putting out portable devices. And I agree with you, AKB. Yes, their history with making portable devices are very spotty. The Zune is a great example. Now, the Surface seems to be doing well. I know more and more people actually using Surfaces. Depends on the industry. I guess when I left advertising, I was seeing more and more people using that in that industry. So I feel like it is doing well. Hence why maybe they're contemplating something like this. I don't know. Leave the portable windows to the third-party teams like Lenovo, Ioneo. That I don't disagree with either. But I think if they were to put out their own portability, their own portable console, I think that would be crazy. But I could see them being ballsy enough to want to try and do that. They want to... Could you imagine if they decide to put out a portable Xbox to compete not with the Switch part specifically, but to compete with the Steam Deck? Steam Deck runs on Steam OS, right? What if the portable Xbox ran on Game Pass OS? Something that they create new. Because we already know that they already are putting a lot of focus on Game Pass. So what if they created an infrastructure just around Game Pass? And then could you imagine if they were able to license that off to like an Ioneo, a Lenovo, an Asus? What? And I'm just talking crazy here. I don't know shit. But I think that would be bonkers. I think that would be batshit bananas. AKB Mo, they have the money, make it and fail. So even the announcement would keep them in public's mind eye. Absolutely. The public's already talking about them for like a whole week now. Ever since those rumors started dropping over the weekend, last weekend, right? And let's face it, outside of the 360, Xbox has not really had much success over PlayStation in these recent years. Forget about Asia and international. They are very territorial with their systems. So, of course, there's going to be huge support in Asia for Sony and Nintendo. I feel like the Xbox sells well in the UK. Again, I don't have facts. I don't have numbers in front of me. This is just from what I remember reading. And they do decently here in the States. They're always number 2 or 3. Depending on how you look at it. They still sell a good amount of units. You know, let's not dismiss what they are actually able to sell. Now, like I said before, they could still be losing tons of money. But at least they're still making some out of their kind of system sales. Again, I don't have the details in front of me, but they do decently. Not groundbreaking, but decently. AKB Mobile, remember the hype for their dual screen folding Android handheld, the Duo, to rival the Samsung Fold. Where is it 3 years later? It's dead, Jim. Yeah. Microsoft, I think one of the things that I find intriguing about Microsoft is they really try on the hardware side of things. They really try. But their strength was always in software. Yeah, that was always their strength. Very different from a Sega, who Sega has proven that they were able to put out really good hardware. It's just support wasn't there for them. And that was basically what led to their downfall, I think, in my opinion. I think if Sega decided earlier Okay, we're still going to do our own game consoles and our own games, but we will license off our titles at the same time to other platforms, maybe doing the window tier or whatever. It's very possible we could still see Sega around now, putting out their own hardware. But Xbox is the new Sega, in my mind. The only difference is that, it's Microsoft. And they have huge funding and backing behind them. They have money in their pockets. It's not going to stop them from testing out stuff, testing the waters, and doing their own stuff. If they somehow announce or hint that the Xbox consoles are going away or eventually fading out into the sunset, I would be surprised. That is something that will really surprise me. Because I always felt that Xbox has the balls, has the cojones to stick with it. Do or die. Young guns for life. Ride out. Regulators! Mount up. Very American mentality. That's Microsoft. So if they do hint that this could possibly be the end of the era of Xbox, I would be really shocked. I'll be kind of sad too, to be honest with you. Because I always said this, for the longest time, there were always either 2 or 3 companies competing with each other in the video game landscape. Now, I stand by this too. There's no console wars. That's a fabrication by the fanboys. There really is no console wars. Everyone has their own stake in the industry, and they do their own things in that respective side of the industry. And there's room for everybody. It's good to have preference. It's good to give people choice. People choose PlayStation. People choose Xbox. Sometimes people just choose Nintendo. But there was always that choice. And if Xbox was to just bow out, I think that would be sad. And it would be really, truly unfortunate for the industry and for gaming, in my opinion. AKB, 200 to 1 odds to announce Xbox consoles will end with this generation. We'll see what happens. We'll see. The year is fresh. It's February 9th. We don't know what's going to happen. We've already got crazy announcements happening. Who saw Disney putting $1.5 billion into Epic Games? Who saw that coming? So we'll see. It's fun to speculate. It's fun to play fortune teller and predict stuff. At the same time, we don't know anything. We don't know what people are thinking. I do know Game Pass has always been a priority for them, and I felt it. The multi-platform possibilities that are rumored that may be announced next week doesn't surprise me, and it shouldn't surprise you. If you pay enough attention, it shouldn't surprise you. That's why I didn't understand this whole blow up. Well, no, let me rephrase. I do understand, because clickbait gets you views, gets you people watching your videos, reading your articles. That's the industry. That's the social media landscape. I get it. But it doesn't surprise me. Didn't surprise me. What will surprise me if Xbox died in this generation. It would surprise me, and it would make me pretty sad. But I want to know and hear your thoughts. I want to know what you think is going to happen next week. What do you think Phil Spencer and the team over there at Xbox, what do they have in their back pockets? What do they have in their front pockets? What do they have in their side pockets? Remember that game Side Pocket on Nintendo? That was a great billiards pool game. What do they have in their pouches? Get Rob Liefeld out of here. You said you're retired. Stop drawing pouches on me. And muscles where muscles don't exist. But I want to know. I want to know what you guys are feeling out there. What you think, what do you feel is going to be announced, what's going to be stated. It's not just a state of play type of thing. He made it sound like it was going to be a business update. Kind of maybe like a roadmap of sorts. And I don't know if he's being forced to do this now or if they were planning this for a while. Who's to say, who's to know, but we'll find out next week. And I will be there to cover it all. And with that said, I think that would be the perfect time to end this stream for this morning. It is 12:31. Thank you to all of you who are tuning in. I don't know what happened to Star-Lord. I think he had to recharge his tablet or phone. But I'm always happy when he's here. AKB, always a pleasure, my man, to have you here. PQ, I think, is somewhere behind the scenes. He likes to lurk, that guy. Sneaky little bastard. But thank you all for tuning in. And if you're watching on the replay, thank you so much for checking this out. Make sure, leave a comment. Let me know what topic stood out to you from this morning. If you're not subscribed yet, make sure you're subscribed. You want to show your support, make sure check out our affiliates in the description of this video and join a membership. Only $1 a month. Help support the channel. And I appreciate it. All right, y'all. Enjoy your Fridays. Have a wonderful weekend. Make it a great one. You all deserve it. I'll catch you on the flip side. See you on Monday. I may stream this weekend. I don't know yet. Stay tuned. But otherwise, I will see you on Monday. Until next time, stay cool, stay classy, stay safe. I will catch you all next week. Peace out, y'all. Bye-bye.